What is the best way to fill up your bicycle tires in 2024? Is it the tried and true floor pump or the modern digital tiny inflator? So basically I'm gonna do a whole bunch of tests, but let me tell you a little bit about all of these. So this one's about $70, $80 on Amazon, and it's made by Airmodo, and it's pretty incredibly small. But we're gonna put it to the test. There's no marketing bullshit in this video. I'm gonna tell you the truth. So this is the Airmodo flagship bicycle tire inflator, and I'm gonna say the size of it is like medium size, and then we're gonna move into the Fantic. So I bought this at Costco many months ago, and I filled up many car tires. So maybe it's more aimed at like automotive style stuff, but we are testing bicycle tires today. So the Toe Peak digital floor pump is my favorite floor pump of all time because it simply has a digital gauge on it, and I can just pump the tires up. So there's a couple bad things about this. First of all, it's like $125. The batteries are a nightmare to change, and it's hard to carry. So I'm most curious about this one simply because it's so small. So this is a Presta valve that's on like your higher end mountain bike, road bike kind of stuff. So this one does come with a couple of accessories, but it does have the Bicycle Pacific tip when you buy it. Let's give it a chance. It's unthreading the valve. So that was not the fault of the Airmodo, that was the fault of me. So all three tire inflators did do the job, but they did all struggle with the same thing. Essentially having to twist the tip on there, I'm unscrewing the tubeless valve. If you were running tubes, that wouldn't be quite a big of a deal. So the Fantic is definitely the most heavy duty, pushing the most amount of air, and it's definitely the biggest. And I'm gonna say the little one's probably the loudest, but they're all pretty noisy to be perfectly frank. Pretty impressive by the little one, but it is super hot in my hand to the touch, where the Fantic is not hot at all, and this one's a little tiny bit hot. So now we're gonna use the tried and true pump from 30 to 40 PSI. Okay, maybe you should just have a floor pump too. So I'm gonna say the floor pump was the easiest one for the simple reason of this valve. So I'm gonna do a little repair on this valve and then deflate the full tire and time how long all these methods take. The Fantic's 54 seconds was the fastest, but it's extremely loud. The super tiny one here, Airmodo, was 1 minute and 21, which is pretty impressive, but it's also super noisy. The medium-sized Airmodo one was 2 minutes 20 seconds, which is super long time, but it is substantially faster. So now we gotta let the tires out and do the standard old floor pump style. Okay, we got to take 4 seconds off because I had to hook it up. Okay, that's 32. So the floor pump's actually the fastest at about 40 seconds, and I went over 30 PSI. Most of the time your bicycle wheels are not on a table, so let's try to fill those tires up 10 psi when they're mounted on a bicycle. The tiny air moto pump threads in there very nicely. Moving on to the Fantic 61000 S1000. You can only buy this one at Costco, but they do have an optional one available on Amazon. So I have owned this for quite a few months and only use it to inflate car tires, and it's extremely useful. It suffers from this weird condition where it turns on for 1 second when it's mounted to a bicycle tire on the bike. It only works on the bench. Moving on to the Air Moto medium-sized tool. Threading this onto the valve stem is pretty challenging. It does take quite a bit of force to twist that thing around. So I've been testing these for a couple weeks now, and that was kind of the more scientific quote-unquote testing. So I'll just tell you, the Fantic one does not work very good with bicycles. I knew that coming in. I just threw it into the mix because it does come with a press-to-valve adapter. I do use it all the time for filling car tires, and the long battery can fill 4 tires up from like 30 to 40 psi, and it does take a long time. So this Air Moto one, to be honest, was a little bit disappointing, mostly due to this tip being hard to spin. So I'm going to say the tiny Air Moto one is actually the winner. But full disclosure, going from 0 to 30 psi in that tire and 30 to 40, it basically killed the battery. So you have about 0 to 50 psi inside of this one, but it only takes about 20 minutes to full charge. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty details. The Cyc Plus is probably my personal favorite, simply because of its small size. The 0 to 30 psi time was 1 minute 21 seconds. It charges up super quick, but it does have a limited amount of air it can push out. I'm guessing 0 to 60 psi max, and it overheats a little bit. The Air Moto Medium, let's do pros and cons on that. So it's basically a medium-sized digital inflator. It does display a whole bunch of information like the pressure. It fast charges like the Cyc Plus. It makes the least amount of noise of all the digital inflators, but its 0 to 30 psi time was the longest at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. The Fantic S1000 I have is from Costco. It costs $50 and it's about $80 in Amazon. Maybe the Amazon one is better. It doesn't work very good on bicycle Presta tires. Basically, it only worked when it was on the bench, but it did have the fastest 0 to 30 time besides the floor pump. Comparing all these digital inflators to your standard high-end floor pump, at $125, the Toe Peak digital inflator had the fastest 0 to 60 time. It also required the most effort, basically pumping it up and down. The digital inflators definitely do serve a place because that floor pump is so massive to put inside of your car. So I hope this video served you well. I linked this stuff in the description if you were curious to buy it.